Well, we didn't really talk a lot about infrastructure. We kind of went right over it. I just would
Okay.
say that is important.
Hmm.
And, if I were to use a super simple example, many companies start with QuickBooks as an infrastructure
Okay.
tool. That only takes you so far. When you get to the point where you have spreadsheets over here and this, that, and the other, you're beyond the point where you should have looked at what do I need to do as a next step in my ERP
Hmm.
decision to scale my business and to be
Okay.
prepared for that next level. And you can either kind of try to stay a little bit in front of it, or you find
Hmm.
yourself behind it and you're catching up. And so that is another thing that companies would be looking at from a evaluation up or down. And it's not just that; it's what kind of systems are you using for your people, for your
Hmm.
benefits. Have you really looked at the efficiencies that you can drive in your business with the right infrastructure tools?
Yeah.
And my goodness, that's an area that's just exploding, with AI
Yeah.
opportunities. And it's amazing to think about what the landscape's going to look like over the next 3 or 4 years with opportunities there. But frequently we go into companies that have not made those investments and they,
Hmm.
well, it still works. Well, it works today,
Hmm.
but, it sort of works today and it isn't going to work tomorrow. And before we can actually execute perhaps an acquisition plan or whatever it is that they have in mind, you have to get the house in order. So you either
That's
take
right.
care of maintenance as you go, would be the way I would describe it, or you've got a big debt you have to take care of somewhere, and it's going to cost you time and money, and usually more than it would have if you did it as you went.
That's really well said, because I think that resonates. I had a guest on a few episodes ago. We were talking about software bloat, and that's what comes to mind when we're talking about this. Where you're bolting things together to make things work, and yes, it still technically works, but no one's happy, and it takes 5 times longer than it should. You never really have just come back to solving these problems with more efficient tools or systems. So again, I want to kind of bring this back to like a DNA type of thing, because I see it where these small to mid-sized companies, they go where the leader is taking them, and if the leader it doesn't have a bent towards making things very efficient and solving those problems, they're not going to get the table time to talk about them, and those kind of problems are going to get pushed to the back because they're talking about the things they like to talk about. So I want to just lace this conversation with that as well, because if you're listening to this and that is something that your people have been bringing up to you, it might be time to address it.
Right. And to plan in the investment. And again, back to the whole idea of doing a strategic roadmap as early in the company life as you
Hmm.
can plan those things out. You don't have to do them all in the next 6 months or the next 2 years. You
That's
can
right.
plan those investments out of both time and money over time. Um, so